Hello, this is Randall Lloyd. Welcome to episode 2 of Supersuit Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to learn how to put a gorgeous superhero emblem on the front of your supersuit. It doesn't come with that ability naturally, so you kind of have to do it manually, but I have a really neat way to do it. Like a lot of things in Studio, there are a number of ways to get this done. I happen to like this way. I think it's a little easier, and if you've got the resources of the basic suit and the super suit, it's fairly simple. So let's jump right in, okay? As you see here, at the end of my last video, I kind of teased you a little bit with my Superman render here, my little super suit. And as you can see in this render, there's no chest emblem. So what we're going to do is we're going to put one on. And this is just the basic supersuit here. And let me deconstruct this scene just a little bit for you. So this is the basic supersuit, and all I've done here really is color it by using shaders that came with it, and shape it using the shaping dials to get it in this format. I hid the hands, hid the neck and face. So then I've added in the briefs. These briefs come in the Genesis default content, and I just colored them using the shaders, and I fitted that to the supersuit, not to Genesis. And then we have the super cape and the super belt, which are both available in the DAS store. The belt needed a little bit of customization. It needed some dials tweaked, and it needed a new shader on the surface. And the cape needed to have a shader, of course, but that was all pretty easy. So now we need to move ahead and get a superhero emblem on here. Now, a lot of people, their first gut reaction would be, hey, I'm just going to put a texture on here. Well, the problem with that is that this is a shader, and that shader is tiled, so it's repeating a little texture over and over again to get the detail that you see in this render here, all that nice little carbon fiber detail there. So we want to keep that functionality on the supersuit because that's one of the coolest things about it. So we're going to have to create a new something new that sits on top, and we're going to do that by using the basic suit that came along with the supersuit. So let's run over here to our content library, and let's find our supersuit. Mine's probably in a different place than yours will be, but I'm going to double click that and let it load in the scene. And for some reason mine's messed up and it's loading a camera, but anyway, I'm going to select that suit and I'm going to make that fit to the supersuit, and there it goes. And if you watched my last video, you know how powerful it can be to fit things to the supersuit. Now what I'm going to do next is select in the surfaces palette for the basic suit. I'm going to select the whole thing and then deselect the torso. And there we go. So everything, and then we're going to reduce the opacity of all of those surfaces. And if I can find my opacity strength, there we go. Okay, now I think you can see where we're going here. We've got this new little section. Now there are a lot of ways you can make this better if you want to. If you don't want that whole basic suit in there, you can use some of your content creation tools to get it down just to the little piece that you need. But for my purposes, this works really well. And when you're done, you can have several different logos that you could apply by using material presets. Anyway, so let's select the basic suit here. Now I'm not going to go too far into how to make your artwork that you're going to put on here. This isn't really a Photoshop tutorial per se, so I'm just going to kind of gloss over and just hit the high points of what I did. The first thing I did was I came to Google Chrome and I located this Superman symbol, and as you see there's many here, and when I'm in Chrome you can also separate the images you call up by the size that they are, and I would recommend you get a large one. And then I selected this very simple one that would make it very easy for me to separate it, and I think that's very important. Next, I brought it into Photoshop here. Now as you can see, the first thing I did is brought in a texture template, and just to make sure I had it kind of in the right spot. Now you can do that either through trial and error or by actually loading the template. But in any case, what we end up with is just this simple logo that I ended up with. And I created a red one and a white one, and then I created a background for it, and I created both a yellow background and a gray background. And let me just flip through here and show you the different maps that we're going to need. Okay, the first one you're going to need is the color map, and we do that with the red and the yellow. And I put that on a black background. It really didn't matter, but that's the one I used. And I exported this as my color map. Okay, next I shifted to the gray background with the white shield, and this became my displacement map. On a displacement map, things that are black sink in, and things that are white pop out, rise. So that's why I did it like this. And then lastly, I created a solid diamond shape, and this is my opacity map. Everything that is black will be transparent, and everything that is white will show up. So there's a real quick rundown of what I did in Photoshop, and I exported all of those maps to a place where I could find them. So let's go back to Studio, and I will select my basic Supersuit. Now, one of the things you're going to want to make sure you do is you're going to want a shader to be on here that is the DAZ Studio default shader, or another shader that allows you to tweak the offset of the texture that goes on there. Some shaders like the OmniFreaker or the Human Surface shader, some of those don't have that ability, and you're going to see why we're going to like that here in a minute. So under the torso segment, we're going to expand that, and we're going to first click on diffuse. Now diffuse is the actual color, and we're going to I've already got the map loaded here, this Superman color 8, and as soon as I load that up, you can see instantly you get a good look at what's going on here. Okay, next I'm going to click on opacity and use that opacity map. I use the Superman Trans 8 right there, and look, there you go, you're already done. You could stop right there and be perfectly finished. Now there's by only going this far, you're going to have that, and it's going to be flat, and it's going to look like a decal. Okay, I like to go one more step and get something that looks even better, and we're going to do that by going back to our surfaces and going to the displacement section, and we're going to click, and we're going to find the displacement map that I made, and looks like I actually haven't loaded that one yet, so I'm going to go find it, browse, and Superman displacement 8 right there. There it is, open. And I'm going to change the displacement strength here to 200. I'm going to leave the minimum where it is. Actually, I might make that 0. I'll make that 0, and I'll make the maximum displacement 0.3. Now there's a reason I'm doing that, and I'll show you in just a second. Okay, so there's our beautiful Superman logo. I'm going to zoom in on it. And if that's not quite where you want it, the reason why we changed to the Supersuit default here, and you can see if you look at the point, it's just a little bit off center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to the bottom, and there's the UV maps here, or actually the tiling. Click on the tiling, and you get some controls here. Now horizontal offset will allow us to move this back and forth, and there it is. And vertical obviously makes us go up and down. Now you don't really want to worry too much about that little piece that's poking through, because that will go away as soon as we render. Okay, so there it is, exactly where we want it. And if you really wanted to, you could play around with the horizontal tiles and the vertical tiles. In both of those sliders, the higher the number, the smaller the design will be, and you'll eventually get to the point where you get more than one of them on the surface. And the lower the number, the larger that will get. So you have some ability to tweak that. I will warn you, however, that when you get those numbers too far away from 1, they don't display right when they render. It gets kind of off. There's a little bug in Studio that causes that not to be correct. But we're all set, so let me render this and we'll see what we got. That's weird. Right, there it goes. It's Now as you see coming up here, we had that beautiful displacement texture on the Supersuit that was giving us that carbon fiber, and that's why we really wanted that to be displaced as far as we did. And look at there, that is a pretty good looking logo. Now if you turn to the side a little bit more and we get in here closer, I'll render that one more time, and let's look and see the three-dimensional qualities that that has. Look at that, it's actually beveled, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing there, I think. Anyway, so that's it. The only other thing I would suggest to you is you can play around with some of the settings here. It looks a little flat compared to the rest of the suit, so what we might do is we might come in here to the specular channel, and I would probably actually bring in the color map for that. So let's look at the Superman color. We'll use that as our color, and I'll make that white. Leave that specular up pretty high, and we can go into our bring the glossiness down a little bit, and I'll go into reflection, and I'll do the same thing with reflection. I'll use that color map, and then for reflection strength I'll try and bring in maybe a different reflection map, like one of this, like this one, that gives us a nice environment. Some of the other shaders in here are using that, so it's available. So I'll turn that reflection up to about half, and let's see what that does. Probably get a nice little shine on our logo now. Yeah, see, that's a little better. Well, there you go. That's how you put a logo on the Genesis Supersuit. And it's only one method. You may have another method, and I'd love to hear about it if you have an easy way that we could communicate to our watchers. If you like this video, make sure you click like and subscribe, and tune in next time, and I'll have another tip for you for the Genesis Supersuit. Thanks. Take care.